You've built something strong, but is it truly ready to scale? Today, we're going to unpack the 5 unmistakable signs that your business can grow beyond you and a few of the warning lights that say, whoa, or maybe just say, not quite yet there. By the end of today, you're going to know exactly where you stand and you're going to know exactly what your next step should be. Stick around for more.
This is the Franchise Pitfalls and Profit Show. Each week, we bring you the challenges and triumphs of being in the franchise development and consulting business. The things you need to make money faster. And now your host, one of the most successful franchise developers in North America, Don Shin.
Hey, welcome back to Franchise Pitfalls and Profits, my podcast and the show where we talk honestly about what drives franchise growth, what holds brands back, how founders and franchisees and business overall can build something meaningful, profitable, and lasting. And right now I'm in a series called Scaling Pathways. We're talking about choosing the best path to grow your business if you're not already a franchise. And actually, there's great tips in here if you're an emerging brand. You know, you're that franchise that's somewhere between 5 and maybe 25 units. So I'm Don Shin. I'm your host. In episode 1, by the way, I'm scrubby because I'm focused on bringing awareness to men's health issues. So I am doing No Shave November. So, hey, guys out there, pay attention to your health. Your body is your temple for the Lord if you're a believer in Jesus. And I am going scruffy and scrubby and to just focus on you getting checkups, taking care of your men's issues, taking care of your body and your health. It is a key component to legacy. And you know I talk about legacy all the time. All right, so let's get back to the series, Scaling Pathways. You know, in episode 1, I talked about the growth plateau. Why do businesses stall even when their owner is hardworking, great work ethics, talented, and they're committed to their business? That episode set the stage by showing that plateaus are normal, but they're also signals. They're not necessarily failures, again, but they are signals. So today we're going to another level. We're going to another step. So before you choose how you want to scale, whether that's opening more locations, capitalizing it yourself, maybe it's licensing, maybe it's some form of partnership, maybe it's acquiring competitors, or maybe, just maybe, it's franchising, which is the space that I work in most. You need to know if your business is truly ready to scale, regardless of the methodology that you choose to get there. Most founders underestimate one of at least these 2 things: how closely they actually are to scaling, and also how many gaps do they still have before scaling would just make everything break, before scaling might actually crush the business that they've worked so hard to build. So today I'm going to give you 5 signs that your business is built to scale. The exact same ready indicators I use and Franchise Building Expert uses when we evaluate a business, whether it can grow responsibly, predictably, and successfully in the franchising space. So let's see how many of these 5 things describe your business. All right, does that make sense so far? All right, let's get started. Actually, yeah, that's fine. I just want to let you know again, if you ever want to reach out to us, there's a great way to reach out to us. Jot that down. So as we go through today, if you want more information, you want to connect with one of our representatives, our advisors, that's going to be the best way to do it. All right, let's get into the 5 ways. And again, Do any of these things describe your business? First one I want to talk about is profitability. The model works without manipulation. Scaling multiplies what is already there, what already exists in your system. It doesn't add to it, it multiplies it. So if your business isn't profitable after paying yourself well, then scaling will only make the problems bigger. They're going to make the problems worse. Things are not going to get better if you scale something that's not profitable. Healthy margins don't just keep your doors open. They actually give you options. They give you options to hire. They give you options to expand. They give you options to reinvest. They give you options to build a support system. They give you options maybe to start other parallel businesses. They give you options. But if your margins are too tight, then growth becomes pressure instead of opportunity. So would expanding your business multiply your profits, or is it going to multiply your success? That's the key first question about profitability. All right, the second thing is, do you have replicatable systems? Someone else could do it nearly as well as you might do it as you're in the business. So here's the real question that I'm getting at. Could a capable person step into your process or processes and achieve similar results that you personally get when you do it? The answer is yes. Hey, you are absolutely on the right track to being having a scalable business. But if the answer is no, then that means you are still kind of running a craft. You might even be running a hobby. You're not really running a company. Companies are scalable. Crafts and hobbies are not. So systems turn into intuition, into instruction. Documents turn talent into something that's teachable over and over again. This doesn't mean that everything has to be perfect. It simply means that your business must be teachable, it must be trackable, and it must be transferable. Those are the keys. So I want you to reflect on this second point about replicatable systems. And I want you to ask yourself, what parts of my business are in my head that need to be on paper? What things do only I know, and maybe a couple of people kind of know, but it's not in an operations manual. It's not somewhere where someone could take it and teach the next person, or while you're growing and expanding and scaling, could actually get others hired and on board to do it. If it's in your head or just kind of in the minds of some of your key personnel, then you really don't have replicatable systems. All right, another thing we want to talk about is brands or branding. And what I mean by that is, do people trust you before they even meet you? I've heard the phrase, does your reputation precede you? Before you scale, people need to know who you are. They need to know what you stand for. They need to know why your business is different. And they need to know why they should choose you and your business. And that second point, that what do you stand for? I've done a previous episode talking about how people today, the consumer today, wants to do business with businesses and people who have greater purpose than simply their business making a profit for them. And so that what you stand for is really, really a critical piece to this branding, if you will. Brand is bigger than visuals and nice brochures. It's perceptions, as I mentioned, it's reputation, and honestly, it's really consistency. Consistency is a word that I've used a lot this year. It's something I've pointed to. It's really critical in a scalable business, regardless of which methodology you end up choosing to scale your business. If customers speak well of you, better than that, they're raving fans, they speak highly of you. If the reviews reflect that and they reflect your integrity and they reflect your consumers and your clients and your customers' trust, if people will recommend you to others in those reviews or even word of mouth, that's a major signal that your business has legs. Your business has some critical mass to it. It has some branding. So what I want you to reflect on point number 3 is simply, would someone choose my business in a market full of competitors? All right, great. Number 4 I want to talk about is scalable support. Scalable support. You can help others, in other words, without breaking down yourself or without you personally being so weighted down and you personally are crushed. This is one thing that most founders overlook. Scaling's not just about adding units. It's about supporting the broader sense of growth. So you want to be asking yourself, can you train people effectively? Do you even have a training program? Or is your training program, I'm hiring this guy over here and I'm just sticking them over there and let them watch Bob or let them watch Susie work and they're just going to get it? Is that your training? Or do you really have an effective training program? Do you onboard consistently? I've learned over the years with a brand that I used to be with, a very quick hiring process designed for small business and medium business owners, but it's also designed to onboard your candidates in a way that when you make the right decision and the hiring decision, those people are already half to 3/4 of the way through what you would normally have done with them in onboarding. So do you onboard consistently? Do you have support for others without people burning out? This is huge. I've seen it in a number of different organizations where people try to take on too many things, or you've got like 2 or 3 or 2.5 positional responsibilities on one person. Because can you support other people without them burning out and without you burning out? And then the 4th point I want you to consider here is, can you build a small but mighty infrastructure behind you? This is really, really important to truly scaling and not just simply having some growth and some improvement over the prior year. If the answer is not yet, that's okay. It just shows an area that you're going to have to work on if you really want to be an organization that can scale. Support systems can be built. That's the good news. But ignoring them, that's just going to stifle and really suffocate your growth. You know, that's going to put like a big lid on top of the fire. It's just going to put it out. So your reflection point here is simply, if I doubled in size tomorrow, not just added a unit here or added a little bit growth over there, but if I doubled tomorrow, what support structure would break down first? Because that's the first place you want to go when you are really set and intent on scaling. That's the first one you've got to be sure is fixed and in place. So the 5th one I want to talk about is demand beyond your current footprint, if you will. People want you, but they want it somewhere else. They don't want it right where you are now. They want it somewhere else, in essence, in another geography. When customers and friends and other markets just have known about you, or your current territory is kind of bled out over other areas, and the marketplace, either literally or figuratively, is saying, "When are you coming to our city?" That's not just flattery. That's not just a feel-good situation. That's data. That's real information. Demand outside your current zip codes show that your model may very well be transferable. It may not just be local. So here you've got to really be thinking about, is demand for what I do bigger than the geography that I currently serve? Wow, this is a really, really important fifth point, but very, very important to the scaling mindset and not just the growth mindset. Now, even when all five signs are present, founders often hesitate. So, if you're a founder of a business or you're an executive now running a business and your ownership is tasking you with growth, you might be hesitant as well. And here are the reasons why you might be hesitant. One could simply be, fear of losing control. The further you go away from home, from the center of the universe, there is that fear of potentially losing control. Another point that makes founders hesitate is that they worry about the quality slipping. Again, same thing. The further away from kind of the corporate headquarters, the more difficult that is to control. Another reason people hesitate is they feel the uncertainty about which path do I choose. Hey, I really, really would like to multiply or scale, but I'm just not sure which is the best way for our company. I'm the founder. Which is the best way for me and all that I've already done and grown? Another thing is just confusion about what scaling really is. What does it actually demand of you as well? Again, most people kind of confuse the term growth and scaling. Growth is that slower, just kind of addition, but scaling is a multiplication. And so will scaling, what is that really going to demand of you? And that sometimes, just scares people. And then the last thing that often makes people hesitate is not believing that anyone even cares as much as you do. So in other words, are you going to put all of this effort into and really try to do the scaling, multiplying mindset, and you're going to turn around and nobody's following you? Nobody's really on board with this. So again, these are the areas that are normal fears. They're all solvable, but these are the things that are probably making you hesitate. So I really want to encourage you to think through these things, reflect on those five areas that I just talked about, but don't hesitate. Don't hold yourself and your company back because of these fears. And if you've seen yourself in most of these five signs, then I congratulate you right up front, because you may be farther along down the scalable road, or as we call this series, the scalable pathway. You might be further along than you actually think. So then what's the next question after reflecting in these five areas and pushing through your hesitation? What's the next question? Well, I think it really is, what is the right path? Is it more company-owned type growth? Is it some form of licensing? I talk to people all day long about licensing their business. Is it a partnership? Is there a way to grow through partnering with other companies? Is it an acquisition strategy where you simply buy market share in another geography? Or possibly is it franchising? So in episode 3, we are going to break down the four big ways that businesses scale. I'm actually going to go through the pros and the cons of what I believe is true scaling. And we're going to share the pitfalls to avoid. So if you'd like an objective look at how scalable your business really is, you can request a scalability, readiness, and predictable diagnostic. We have a 21-point assessment program. It's a readiness and predictability scaling. and we can have one of our advisors walk you through this. If this is something that you're really feeling moved by, based on what you've been hearing here today, you want to reach out at our website, franchisebuildingexpert.com/contact us or /schedule a consultation. Or you could just come to me through LinkedIn and subject matter ready or readiness and predictability, something of that phraseology. And I will have one of our assessment coordinators, one of our advisors reach out to you about what it actually looks like to go through this initial assessment with us. Remember, scaling's not just becoming bigger. It's about becoming better in a way that supports multiplication type growth and not just getting bigger. Strong foundations, they really create these stronger futures. Your brand may very well be ready for this, but you've been hesitating. And if you're intentional now, as you're learning more through this podcast episode series, your business actually can grow in a way that really serves you better, serves your team better, helps your families, and really helps your community and impacts the communities that you will scale into. So I'm going to see you in episode 3, which will be called The 4 Paths to Scale, choosing the growth strategy that's right for your business. So reflect on those 5 areas, and then I'll see you next week for the 4 paths to scaling. So one last time, if you are hearing things today that sound like you and a lot like your company, go ahead to our website, the Contact Us section, and ask specifically for the readiness and predictability assessment information. And we're going to have one of our people reach out to you right away. Now, before I close, here's what my heart is behind everything that I do. Somebody asked me the other day, why are you still doing what you're doing? Well, it's because to me, franchises isn't just about systems. It's really about the people on the other side of the franchise agreement signature. Yeah, the person who's signing up to own the business and run it, but it's their family. And it's also the people that they hire, the employment opportunities that they give, and those people's families. And then in a broader sense, because franchise owners get very involved in their communities, in a broader sense, it ultimately impacts communities where new franchise concepts open. So my mission is to focus on getting the right people in the right brands, equipping them the right way, giving them the right foundational pieces to be successful, so that they don't just build businesses, they build communities and they build legacies. And ultimately for me, my faith drives me to do this. My purpose is to serve well in my time and to create an impact that impacts and reaches my grandchildren's grandchildren, but doing everything for the glory of God. Hey, thanks for being with me here today. I appreciate it. If you like what you're seeing and what you're hearing, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I'll see you next week.